الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. Dear brothers and sisters, when I reflected upon the guidance Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to divorce, the way how divorce is structured in Al-Quran, also through the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I found big difference. If I want to be more specific, I found huge contradiction between how divorce is structured in the Quran mainly and the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the way how people practice divorce. From the borders of this contradiction, I generated the title of the lecture. Divorce, is it enmity or an Islamic solution? Is it enmity, adawa, as we say in Lugha al-Arabiya, or an Islamic solution? Because of that contradiction. You read about divorce, you read about how Sahaba divorced, how khul' took place, for instance, at the time of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you compare with the way how we practice divorce nowadays, you see, subhanAllah, that there is huge contradiction. And because of that contradiction, I have decided to make the title as it is announced, divorce, is it enmity or an Islamic solution? What we need to know from the very beginning is that divorce, though it is a solution, an exit sometimes, but in the other hand, it is a problem and it brings a lot of problems with it. Many, especially social problems. Suicide sometimes. I came across cases, suicide cases. Crime. Leaving the deen. Hatred. Court cases. So that's why divorce actually is a complex issue, because he has these two wings. In one hand, it is a solution. Sometimes you have to go for it. We will go through that, inshallah. So it is a solution for some people. But in the other hand, it actually brings a lot of bad consequences. When you mention suicide, for instance, crime, killing, or spending time, your life, your money in courts, fighting for whatever, children, a house, a property, that makes it more complicated. It's very hard to go for it. That's why, and subhanAllah, it's not just Muslims. In a release, which is the latest statistics in 2012, been released by the government here, that 118,140 divorces took place in 2012. In 2012, yes. That is a huge number. 118,140 divorces took place in 1 year. And it's increasing, it's going up. And the statistics showed also that 71% of these divorces are first marriage. First marriage. That is not a good sign. What is worse in the statistics that the statistics showed is that 42% of marriages will end in divorce. That is scary. It means nearly half. This is just in the UK, in England and Wales. In America, when I was doing my studies in regards to America, it's actually worse, it's more. It's more than 50% of marriages end in divorce. And you can check this stuff online to gain certainty, because we do believe in the rule of قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. If you're saying the truth, bring your evidence. It's good to rely on real studies, not just talking nonsense. And so all societies suffer from this social problem, divorce. Okay, so that's why it is very important for us. Every day in my office, every single day here in Muntada and before Muntada, I've been doing family counseling for nearly 17 years. Every single day, family problems. 99% of these problems relate to divorce, al-khul' and so on. Al-khul', I'm sure everybody knows what al-khul' is. We can probably go through some rules of khul' as well. Khul' is when women ask for divorce, basically. So it's a deal between the two, the husband and wife, for divorce, and she will give back the money. Something probably we'll talk about. But so 99% of the calls I receive every single day in a daily basis relate to this problem. Even the problems that I deal with when it comes to children relate to divorce as well. And we're going to come later on, inshallah, by the will of Allah, if Allah wills, to talk about the consequences of divorce and how divorce affects children. Okay, so that's so divorce, basically, as I said, it is a problem. It is a social problem, and we have to take that into consideration. This is a big problem. We want to understand how divorce can be a solution and how can divorce be a disaster. That's what we're here for, and that is the title. Divorce, is it enmity or an Islamic solution? To me, personally, if I want to give an example for divorce, imputation. Imputation. That's what divorce is. Imputation, to imputate a limb or an organ, whatever, it's not an easy thing. Sometimes it is an obligation. Sometimes it is forbidden. You can't go for it. Sometimes you have to go for it. Doctors before and surgeons before they go ahead to decide whether they can amputate that limb, they need to do a lot of work. A lot of work. That's divorce as well. We jump and divorce. Not long ago I received a call, somebody crying over the phone. Oh, akhi, I've done a big thing. I've divorced my wife 3 times. I was angry, but I was aware of myself. Okay, which means you've done it. Now tell me, what happened? Just to see, I know nothing I can do about it. When I found out the reasons behind divorce, she said, Subhanallah, how can people divorce with these kind of small reasons? No reason at all. Do you have children? He said, yes, we've got 4 children involved. You from this country? No. We came to study. We left family back home. And that's it. She's ba'in, khalas. 3 times, finished. Now they're going to go back to their children and their parents and their families back home. Tell them what? Everybody's taking a flight separately. Tell them what? And how are you going to deal with it back home? What about children? So divorce, to me, we have to think seriously about it. That it is kind of imputation. So divorce, and why should we care that much? Because as I said, because divorce, though it is a solution, and we're going to come to that, but it is the consequences as well of the divorce. Mental disorder, psychological problems for children, fighting in courts, lots of problems. The separation itself weakens the society. Al-Jama'ah is always good. So yes, it is a solution, but also it is a disaster. So for those who just came now, it is imputation. Divorce, we think about it as imputation of a limb. You think about that. It's painful. It's not an easy thing to do, but if you have to go for it, go for it. And Allah has given you the guidance. But if you don't have to go for it, if you think that the consequences are worse than, keeping the limb, then just keep the limb. So that is very important, just to bear in mind at the very beginning. Let us jump to, as long as we spoke about in this introduction about the difference between going for the divorce and being a good solution and going for it and being a disaster, let's talk about where this problem is coming from. Where is it coming from? Where the divorce is coming. Why do we have this 118,140 divorces taking place in this country every year, and it's getting worse? And it's getting worse. Obviously, al-talaq, divorce, means ending al-zawaj, the marriage. So the problem is coming from what I have seen in the course of 17 years of family counseling, is coming from marriage itself. It's coming from marriage itself. Unfortunately, people don't know how to get married. Yes, there are many other reasons for divorce, but primarily, mainly, it comes from the way how people get married. It is very important to bear this in mind. You can decide, and we know as Muslims, alhamdulillah, we know that Allah Azza wa Jal is the control of the universe. Nothing is in our hands. Nothing. But we have the means, Allah has given us the means to control things in a certain way. Even Al-Qadr itself. And this is the answer for those who say, well, if everything is written, why should I do things? Why should I work? If it's already written for me that I'm going to be a bad person or a good person, why should I work? We hear this. We say the Qadr is written on the basis of the way how you are thinking now. That's Al-Qadr. When Umar ibn Khattab been asked about the dua, why are you making dua if Al-Qadr is Al-Qadr, if what's written is written, why are you going to raise your hands to Allah and ask Him to do this or that? He said, نَرُدُّ الْقَدَرَ بِالْقَدَرِ. He said, we push Al-Qadr through Al-Qadr, because dua is Qadr itself. Because Allah knew that you will raise your hands to Him, so He wrote for you that calamity, that problem will not happen, because you're going to raise your hand one day and you ask Him. Because Allah knew that you will do such and such, you will decide such and such, so He wrote for you on the basis of how you're going to be. And as I said, if I said it, that divorce, though it is a social problem, it is an act of worship. It can be. It can be an act of worship. Okay? Anything can turn to be an act of worship. If you do it on the basis of the right way, the guidance and regulations and the boundaries and the red lines, taking the red lines into consideration, doing it for the sake of Allah, thinking this is an act of worship. So taking these things into consideration helps a lot in minimizing the amount of marriages or the amount of divorces that are taking place. So as I said, we're going to speak about marriage because divorce, at-talaq, is actually cancelling, getting rid of a zawaj, of the marriage. So let's talk about marriage. We can say a lot about marriage, okay? And a lot of those people who are planning to get married, okay, they are asking all the time about the guidance of getting married, how to get married. Okay, that is a good question. We can say a lot on the basis of our experiences and on the basis of people's experiences. But I'm going to summarize everything in regards to marriage in mentioning how did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe marriage. That's very important. Because Al-Quran, and that's the khutbah al-Jum'ah of those who prayed khutbah al-Jum'ah with us, that's what I was talking about as well. It's Al-Quran al-Kareem. There is no guidance anywhere. Go and study philosophy, whatever. At the end of the day, the only guidance is in Al-Quran al-Kareem. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described the Quran as what? Basair. He said, هذا بصائر للناس وهدى ورحمة لقوم يوقنون. Allah said, this book, Al-Quran, this book is basair. What is basair? Basair is the plural of what? Of basira. Basira is the clear insight. So Al-Quran is a clear insight. It summarizes the journey for you. All what you need to do is to go to it and reflect upon it, and then you will see through it the reality and how to do things and how to avoid things. So that's why we're going to refer to Al-Quran and see what does Al-Quran say about marriage. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, amongst his signs, means him subhanahu wa ta'ala, أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا, that he created min anfusikum, he created amongst yourselves azwajan. In some translation for the Quran they said wives. That is not correct. Azwajan means wives and husbands. الزوج in اللغة العربية means the spouse, the pair, okay, the partner. So it is, so الخطاب هنا, the speech here is directing, addressing men and women, not just men. The verse here is talking to the husband, to the man and women as well. So he said, he created amongst you, yourselves, azwajan, spouses, partners, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, min anfusikum, amongst yourselves. Okay? Amongst yourselves. So this is to humans and also to jinn amongst themselves. Okay? Amongst themselves. And also because ayyu khitab, any messages from Allah to us are messages to jinn as well, because they are commanded to follow the guidance of Islam. So خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجٍ, he created amongst yourselves azwajan, spouses, partners, لِتَسْكُنُوا. A second here is the tranquility. Okay? And I'm going to come to this again because it is very important to reflect upon this verse. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And He created amongst you mawaddatan, affection, love, وَرَحْمَةً, and mercy. Three elements, three factors. A second, accommodation, in my own words, spiritual accommodation. Because the second means home. Okay? وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً مِنْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا, in order to gain tranquility, peacefulness. Okay, so that is a second. I would like to call it spiritual accommodation. Okay, and then mawaddatan, and then affection, love, mawaddatan wa rahmah, and mercy. Subhanallah, when I reflected upon this ayah, it shows you that Allah's guidance is perfect. First of all, these three elements, there's an order here. The spiritual accommodation first, and I'm going to come to that, as I said. Affection, love, and mercy. This order is very important in marriage. Very important. This is how we can control or try to control the way how marriage is going to take place in the future, by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. So that is an order. Also, it is a sequence. Rotation. It doesn't go like that and end. No, it's actually rotation. And it goes, but when you reach mercy, it goes back to the spiritual accommodation through affection, and it's a rotation. It's a sequence. Very important. So when you go to get married, why did the Prophet ﷺ recommend Jabir ibn Abdullah, also others, to go and see the person who is proposing to? He said, أَنَظَرْتَ إِلَيْهَا. He said, did you look at her? He said, no. He said, go. فَانظُرْ إِلَيْهَا. Go and see her. Okay. فَإِنَّهُ أَحْرَى أَن يُؤْدَمَ بَيْنَكُمْ. You're more likely to gain that tranquility. Not just see the face. No. You need to have something in your mind that, yes, you relate to that person. And that's what I call spiritual accommodation. And imagine and think of the hadith, yeah? The hadith is authentic hadith. The Prophet ﷺ didn't say, did you speak to her? No. He said, go and see her. Why? There's another wisdom there. Because talking, everybody can talk and describe themselves as angels. Sahulillah, isn't that correct? You can say a lot about yourself and you know you're just lying. She can say a lot of things. Don't say she will lie, but she will exaggerate. Don't say he will lie, we will say he will exaggerate. It's like CV. When people write the CV, they exaggerate. At least if they don't lie, at least they exaggerate. If they don't exaggerate, they have to use the best of expressions, the best of words, just to convince the person who's reading your CV that you are good in such and such. So the Prophet ﷺ didn't say to him, go and speak to her. Because it wouldn't tell you nothing. But again, I will open two parentheses here. It doesn't mean that you don't talk. No, you can talk, especially nowadays. Because there are many things you can talk about. Within reason, obviously. There are many things. Because sometimes things, You don't want to find them through people. You want to ask a question, clear question, such and such and such and such. So you answer. That's very important. But what I'm saying here is that the Prophet ﷺ said to Jabir and others, and in Hadith Anas and others, he said, go and look at that woman. Why? Because of that, for you to see if you're going to gain, if you're going to feel that spiritual accommodation. Because if there isn't that spiritual accommodation, then it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. And that's why he said to him, فَإِنَّهُ أَحْرَى يُؤْدَمَ بَيْنَكُمَا. You more likely gain that chemistry, as they say nowadays. That feeling, that spiritual communication. Okay. I don't want to go into, as I said earlier, into a lot of fiqh details. What can he see? What can she see? You know, we can mention quickly these things, but they don't relate that much to what I am here for today. We can do that in other lectures and duruses. However, the majority of the scholars said he can see the face and the hands. Okay, he can see the face, and that's madhab al-Shafi'i and Malikiyya. Al-Hanafiyya, they added, and he can see feet as well. Okay. Al-Hanabila added, the school of Ahmad rahimahullah, they added and the whole head and the raqaba from the back, basically this, the head. So he can see the head, he can see the hair, he can see the hands, and he can see the feet. Okay. So that is very important to bear in mind, that the order this ayah is talking about is very important. So there is a spiritual accommodation and then affection. Because when there is that, when you feel that tranquility, that peacefulness, that okay, I'm happy with this person, alhamdulillah, I have no objections, I have no problems, okay, then the affection comes. When you start knowing about the person, their akhlaq, their this, that. So that is very important to take into consideration from the very beginning, because that links to the future of your marriage. And then the affection comes, and then the mercy. SubhanAllah, why? Because when you have relationship with somebody, you share that communication with, that spiritual accommodation. And imagine, before I leave this point, it's very important. Why did Allah use the word of accommodation anyway? A second. Why did Allah? There are many words in Arabic we can use as an alternative. But why did He use a second? Home, accommodation. This is the beauty of Lugha al-Arabiya. This is the beauty of Arabic. It's an ocean without a shore. Yet, it is very concise, very specific. A second, because what does a second do to you? Imagine somebody has no accommodation, homeless. Means he's exposed. He's exposed to the sun, he's exposed to diseases, he's exposed to people, people will see him, they will know about him, they will know that he has nothing. When you have accommodation, you are protected. You are protected. So when you have that feeling of a second accommodation, when marriage, when your partner means to you accommodation, means you are safe. You are safe. Means problems are not going outside. You're not exposed. And this shows you how we are damaging our marriages when a brother, as soon as he has a problem with his wife, he goes to his family or friends and start talking about his wife. She is such and such, and vice versa. The sister, as soon as the problem appears, she goes to her friends over the phone, 5 hours a day, telling them everything about her husband. This contradicts the idea of marriage. The idea of marriage is accommodation, a second. Means you are covered. You are covered. That's why when problems appear, Allah said, speak first, talk first, and then you can ignore the partner for what, just to let them think that and know that you are upset, and then you go and speak to a member of the family. If you have to, for the sake of protecting the marriage, then you go and bring a person from your family, and she will go and bring. But that is not from the very beginning. From the beginning, no, keep yourself accommodated means protected. That's very important. Very important. And brings a lot of problems which lead to divorce. Because the sister will say, and I came across this, I don't love my husband anymore. Why? All my secrets are spread amongst people. Every member of the family, his family, my family, are aware of my weaknesses or my this, my that. I don't love him anymore. Also brothers as well. He said, I don't want to be with that woman anymore. Why? Akhi, she exposed me. I have no face to face people with anymore. She told people everything about me. That's why we are actually leading ourselves to divorce. It's the accommodation, and that's how affection comes, love, and then mercy when you know that you are protected at home. It doesn't matter how the problem is, he's still controlled, he's not exposing you, she's not exposing you. The love increases amongst you and your family, your husband, your wife, and that brings what? Mercy. The third element. Doesn't come from the beginning, but comes as a consequence, as a result for the spiritual accommodation and the affection. And without even knowing, subconsciously, you have that rahmah upon your partner, your husband or your wife. You have that mercy. Because of this, you already established your marriage through the spiritual accommodation, affection, and then mercy comes. And then it goes back. When you reach the mercy, alhamdulillah, this is a good sign. When you start feeling, when you start having this mercy upon your partner, your husband, your wife, you know that you've done a good thing. So now go back to this, the first element, which is the spiritual accommodation. Take care of it. Keep yourself accommodated. Okay? And then through the affection, and like that. That's how Allah described the relationship between the husband and wife. It's that sequence, and also it is in that order. I will, brothers and sisters, because that's why I decided for it to be a seminar, I will allow questions, and then I will share things, because I don't like, and that's why I said to my dearest brother Mudathir, I don't like these chairs and old style of sitting down. I get bored, and people get bored and go to sleep. Okay, so it has to be in an academic way where I'm active and you are active as well. And I don't like the idea of sending without receiving, because that is a negative way of, no, it's a sending and you are receiving, and then you're going to be sending, I will be receiving. And that's how the seminar or the lecture will be beneficial for everybody. Okay, so we're here to exchange information and share and hear other stories as well. And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. It is worth to mention that as long as we spoke about the spiritual accommodation, the affection, love, and the mercy, it is worth to mention that we do not create affection. We don't decide who to love or to like. That's very important. Okay? And this can be misunderstood, so please stay with me, focused. We don't control. We don't create love in our chests. And I will give you an example, and then I'm going to carry on with what I mean. Umar ibn al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu, amongst others, at the time of al-Jahiliyyah, before their Jahiliyyah, before they became Muslim, they hated Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam so much. So much. Why I mentioned Umar specifically is because he had that hatred for Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam before he became Muslim, to the extent that he decided to go personally and end Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam's life. Umar decided to go and kill Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That's how much Umar radiallahu anhu hated Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam before he became Muslim. And many others. All of a sudden, Umar ibn Khattab became Muslim. That hatred been replaced with pure love. Pure love. From the highest level of hatred to highest level of love, to the extent that they sacrificed their own souls for his life. Imagine, they sacrificed their own souls for his own. What happened here? What happened? Is what I'm talking about here. We don't create love in our chest, so I would like to love that person, I would like to, but we control the measures. Pay attention to this. We control the measures that control love and hate, and like and dislike. We do control the measures. What happened here of this example I gave, Umar ibn Khattab and other companions who were mushrikeen and they became Muslim, what happened? The measures of love and hatred changed. When they became Muslim, they changed the measures of like and dislike. When they believed that this person is trustworthy, he's not a liar, he is actually a prophet, because liars make money, liars gain fame, liars been put as rulers and leaders. But this guy here, this man, is all the way around. It's all the way around. He's the one who's giving. He's not taking. He's not begging people for money, but he gives. He doesn't like fame. He would go and pray his tahajjud. Nobody's around him except his household. So they saw that this man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was a trustworthy person. That's what changed the measures of love and hatred. We don't control who to love, who to dislike, to hate, but we do control the measures. Through knowing what you want, and that is very important to me to mention in this lecture. In fact, it is the core of this lecture, and I'm going to be talking about it, inshallah. You have to create the measures for yourself. The measures that will guide you to love or hate. Okay? We get all the time. A brother would come and say, Akhi, I would like to get married. Can you find me a good sister? A sister would come, Akhi, I would like to get married. Can you find me a good brother? Before, in the past, we go and try our best. We get good sister for the brother and we get good brother for the sister. And then they come back to you asking for divorce or khula. I came to understand that the question of good brother or good sister is absolutely incorrect. Wrong. What do you mean good brother or good sister? Yes, I can bring you a good brother, but I can't promise you that this good brother will be a good husband. And I can get you a good sister, but I cannot promise you that this good sister will be a good wife. The question itself carries a lot of misunderstanding. We don't know what to ask for and how to ask. It is not about good brother or good sister. It's about you understanding yourself. Before you look for good sister or good brother, you need to look and ask yourself, who am I? And what am I? And what do I want? And what are my aims? What do I want to achieve? You have to answer these questions seriously, without lying to yourself, and then you, on the basis of your needs, you go and look for the person that will suit your needs. And I'm going to give you an example here. Malika, just a random name by the way. If somebody is called Malika with a home, because we've got camera, I don't mean anybody. Just a random name. Malika. I'm from Morocco. Malika is a very common name. Malika wanted to buy a sewing machine. Okay. She went to her friends, Salaam alaikum sisters, I would like to buy a sewing machine. Can you advise me please? What do you think of this brand? They say, yeah, this brand is nice, bravo, whatever. Okay. She went to the store, whatever store is. She said, I want to buy Brother X15 sewing machine because I've been told it's nice, it's reliable, and what do you think of it? Yes, the manager is saying, yes, it is nice, or the store person, worker, yes, it's nice. She got the sewing machine. Now Malika bought sewing machine. She came back home. She started using her sewing machine, her Brother X16, and then 4 months down the line, the machine broke. Couple of months down the line, Malika flipped, got so angry, she picked up the phone, shouting at her friends, you didn't give me the good advice, look, I just bought the machine, I relied on you, and the machine is now broken, and she went to the store, having a go on the manager. You guys, you don't make things good anymore. The manager said, okay, now tell me, what is your problem? You are calm now? Tell me, what's your problem? She said, I bought the machine and I started using it and it's broken now. He said, how did you use it? Tell me. She said, well, because I make leather handbags. I make leather handbags. I've got my own business. I'm just starting a new business from home. He said, this machine is not to make a leather handbags. This machine is not a commercial machine. This machine is domestic machine. Use it for your children's trousers, for your whatever. You can't. So the problem isn't the machine, the washing machine. The problem is not the advice she got from her friends. She was the problem. Malika was the problem. She didn't know what she wants. She thought that tell me about a good machine is enough for her to buy. No, you need to know your requirements first. It's you. That is the job that you have to do. You have to ask, before you go wasting your time and people's time, you ask yourself, what do I want to achieve? Who am I? What am I? Okay, I've got a business, I'm going to be sewing this. You tell them, okay, I'm going to be making leather bags and this, and they will say to you, so you need a commercial sewing machine. You will get the right advice. So the advice wasn't wrong. People didn't give her wrong advice. She was wrong. Why? Because she didn't know what she wants. That is marriage to me. And that is the hardest work. If you want to keep your marriage safe, okay, you need to understand yourself. Before you start blaming others, you gave me wrong advice, or this, or that. It's you. What do you want? On the basis of what you want, you're going to decide who to marry and what to ask for. And what to ask for. Ahmed got married to, let's say, Malika, same person. He asked about Malika. She's a good sister, mashallah. She prays her salawat. She does her Quran. She's a nice person. She is very calm. She hasn't got temper. Alhamdulillah. Ahmed was happy. Okay. Ahmed got married to Malika. When he got married to Malika, when they lived together, they lived with his parents. He told her, so alhamdulillah, no argument. He told her that you were going to live with our parents at home, in our house. We've got enough space, you've got your own whatever, your own floor. She's happy with that. She started living with him in his parents' house. 3 months down the line, Ahmed started complaining against his wife. Oh, I didn't know about this woman. She didn't tell me everything. I thought she's a good sister. I've been told she's calm, she's kind. We said, okay, Ahmed, what is your problem? He said, Akhi, look, my mother, I told her we're going to live with our parents. My mother is disabled. Okay? I've got disabled mother. And she's got severe disability. She needs 24 hours care. She needs somebody to cook for her, to take her to the bathroom, to do basically everything for her. And obviously my wife is my wife. We share life. So she's not happy with the situation. I said to him, so what's the problem? He said, Akhi, she's changed. She's awkward. I said, you're wrong. She's not wrong. It's you. When you asked about Malika, you didn't ask yourself first, what are your requirements? Okay? You wasn't looking only for a wife. You were looking for a worker. Okay? You were looking for a worker. And that's fine if she accepts to be doing that, because Allah will reward her if she accepts. It's not an obligation upon her. If she accepts, may Allah reward her. But you have to tell her, you have to say, look, I have a disabled mother and she needs care. Can you do that for us? And then she will tell you, for her refusing doesn't make her a bad person. No. You're the one who done a big mistake. You got married to somebody who's not willing to do the extra work for you. Because she had the ability to say to you, okay, that's fine. Or say, I don't mind, but I need to get paid. That's fine as well. She will say, I don't mind. You're going to get a work of your mum anyway, so I'm willing to do that. But you pay me. You make some arrangements. That's how you're going to control your marriage. Okay? These are the measures that we use to know how the marriage is going to be. Okay? Obviously things comes from Allah's qadar, we're not aware of, al-ghayb, this and that, but we're talking about the means. Okay, it is very important. So it is about understanding ourselves. If you are new and you will trying to get married or in the process of getting married, ask yourself what you want first. Ask yourself about the requirement you are looking for. What do you require? And then on the basis of that, you go and be clear. Don't hide things. And then expect, because some people have too much expectations. Yeah? He's okay when it comes to himself, or when it comes to herself, they are accepting the minimum. But in the partner, they are expecting from them to be, I don't know, malaika. That's not. You have to accept in others what you accept in yourself. That's very important. And know your requirement, and on the basis of that, you go and look. And then, now I go back to what I mentioned earlier, because some people might ask, or some people might think that what I'm talking about means that. Can the idea of having life or relationship before marriage, does it make marriage successful? Because when you live with somebody, truly, you learn about them, you know about them. They are there in front of your eyes. So you would know, this person is livable. I can live with that person, whether man or woman. So does this aid we get from this relationship justify having a relationship before marriage? No. No. The reason being, I said no quickly, because it's obvious to me. Okay? Having a relationship, think about it like this. Forget about now the rules. And having a relationship with somebody, okay? It's a relationship. What is marriage? It's a relationship. You're running from a relationship to a relationship. Doesn't make sense. Something we call in اللغة العربية تحصيل حاصل. تحصيل حاصل means you're running from something to itself. You're running from relationship that is called marriage to relationship that is called whatever you want to call it. Boyfriend, girlfriend, haram, whatever you want to call it. But it's a relationship. It doesn't make any sense. Logically, it doesn't make any sense. Because the relationship outside marriage is the same thing. Children are involved. Problems are involved. Same thing. The only difference is that this marriage is in the name of Allah and this one is in the name of Shaitan. Logically, when you say, can I do this? To do this means these two are different. When you say, before, shall I do Hajj before I buy a house? Yeah, means the two are different. That's why you choosing. Shall I do this before this? But you can't say, shall I do Hajj before Hajj? You can't. Because both are relationship. That's why we have children. Okay? Outside marriage, they don't even know their fathers. Because of this relationship. So what are you running from? When you say, can I have a relationship before marriage? You know, you are in a relationship because marriage is a relationship. In fact, it's worse. Going straight to marriage is better than going, even logically, going through this to this. Why? Because at least if you get married and have children and then divorce, what you are worried about, at least your children know their fathers and they know, there are obligations. But in this relationship, and this is one of the differences between two, that in the haram relationship, the only difference, if I want to say, is there's no seriousness here. That's why they want to go to this. Because he's not obliged. I don't care. Go. He can go and cheat. She can go and, because there's no contract. They lie. I love you, but they're all lies. Because they go in the unseen and do whatever they want to do. Why? Because there's no contract there. Whether by the name of Allah or by the law. So for them, this is where the idea of relationship before marriage came from, is to run away from the obligations, from the regulations. And because marriage is controlled. Even when it comes to wealth and everything. So for them to be free and no rules, they go and say. Otherwise, when you think about it, in the reality, there's no difference. Children are involved in this, children are involved in this. And there are many studies I came across in a couple of years down the line, most of children will be born outside marriage. This is a disaster. This is a social problem when somebody doesn't know his father. And that's why this answers the question of some people say when they don't think. Because if they think about it, they know the answer. They will know it straight away. But they ask, they say, well, if man is allowed to marry 4 women, why women are not allowed to marry 4 men? Because imagine women married to 4 men. Crime on a daily basis. Because the child, this man can say, that's my child. No, it's my child. Crime will come. There's wisdom behind this. So the society is falling, going down because of these social problems. So no way, it's not a solution to go to a relationship before marriage. And this is a message to everyone, men and women, here and in the cameras, and everywhere. You are destroying your marriage. Back home, especially us as Muslims. Non-Muslims, they have their own ideas. It's down to them. But as Muslims, it's not going to work. Because I know from my culture, myself, back home in Morocco, and you can say the same thing about all the Muslim cultures. A man will go and lie to women. Yes, we're going to get married one day. You just want to understand ourselves and learn about ourselves. All this kind of bunch of lies, yeah? When he is serious to get married, he goes to his mom and says, Mom, find me a good wife. He will even say to her, go. He will ignore her as she never existed in his life. Because he can say to himself, if this woman is going to be a good wife, she wouldn't be with me for a second. She's been with me for 4 years. How am I going to trust her? So that idea doesn't work. Okay, this might lead me to mention another thing. Can love take place before marriage? Can love, not relationship, we finished with that. Relationship cannot take place. قولا واحدا, as the scholars say. No debate in this. But can love take place? The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith in الصحيح, ما رأيت للمتحابين مثل النكاح أو قال مثل الزواج. He said, I can't see. This is the hadith of the Prophet. I can't see anything better for those who love each other better than getting married. He said, I cannot see anything better for those who love each other better than getting married. But hold on before you go far and try to understand. Let me finish my side and then you understand however you want. This hadith first comes to solve problems. We get these problems. Somebody will come now to your office and say, I've got a problem. What is your problem? I've got a relationship with somebody. I love her and she loves me. We've been in haram. But we repent to Allah. The hadith comes. Go and get married to the same person. Finish. As long as this person loves that person, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Get married. The hadith comes to solve that problem. Okay. Also, it can happen when you go and propose to somebody. Okay. Sometimes without even proposing. Sometimes, and this happens in religious families a lot, where there's religion involved, alhamdulillah, in the family. But there is communication as well, because sometimes, be very careful, sometimes in religious families there is no communication. The father is not, is too close, he's not open to his children. That brings a lot of problems. But make sure you have communication. It's good. That's why you need to be religious family, but make sure you have, okay, doors open for communication. Because when communication is there, your children talk to you. And talking to you means you can solve problems. Okay? So a daughter will come to her dad and say, Dad, look, you know such and such, your friend, his son, I like him. Can you speak to his dad? It happened. It's not something that it doesn't happen. It happens. I know many of my friends that actually proposed for their daughters. He would go to a brother and say, Akhi, look, I've got my daughter. Bismillah, do you like her? You see, yes, Bismillah. Get married. Many cases are now, and alhamdulillah, successful marriage. Why? Because the daughter, because of the relationship she had for years, she'd been having, let's say, for years with her dad, made her trust her dad. And that is another key, probably we'll talk about in the future, when it comes to children. It's very important. That goes back to what I said earlier, measures. You created the measures of love and hate for your children. They will say, I know, because I know what you like. I know that you will choose the best. You know, I trust you. You get me married. Whereas if the father is too like a block of, like a rock, there's no communication with children, they wouldn't trust him. They wouldn't trust him at all. But that's another topic. So, love can take place. But it doesn't mean relationship. You straight away deal with it. Okay? Straight away deal with it. Khadija al-Mu'mineen radiallahu anha, she loved Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She liked him. She saw him that he's a trustworthy person. She knew straight away she wouldn't find a better husband than this. Yeah, she was wealthy. She had business, she had money, but she didn't care about that. He was orphan all of his life, no money, he just traded with his uncle, but she knew that this man is somebody I will wish for myself. Straight away she proposed. So there's nothing wrong with that, because love is not aib, it's not, oh, don't talk about that. No. It's Allah's rizq. What is wrong is you go with it in the wrong way, you take wrong direction. That is where Sharia comes and say, hold on, you dig in your own grave here, come back, take this way. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, so I think we've done an hour and a half and we're going to stop for a break, inshallah.